Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Fat Cat Collections. Got another fun watch for you today, and this is another one by Spinnaker. This is their Fluess GMT Automatic. This watch is powered by the Seiko NH34. Again, a lot of times companies use the terminology Seiko, and this is how Spinnaker is describing this, but remember, this is not, of course, a Seiko movement. The NH series, a lot of times, I believe, is produced by TMI, but it is actually a Seiko brand, a Seiko company. To the best of my understanding, if I misspeak, I apologize. This is my understanding of what the NH series is, but what you're basically getting is an incredible automatic movement at a fraction of what you're going to charge for a Seiko watch, right? If you were to get the Seiko equivalent, you'd be paying hundreds of dollars more. So it's kind of interesting to me that Seiko, or how they're affiliated with this particular movement, makes these, but they definitely don't want companies mentioning that. So kind of strange, but nevertheless, it's still an amazing movement. I think anybody in the watch community knows that the NH series is what they call the workhorse movement. Again, I hate using that terminology, but that's what they refer to it as. Not to say that a Miyota isn't. There's lots of really great automatic movements out there. I think what's important, I don't know, or what's I think has meaning is when you're buying a watch, if it has a brand name reputable movement. Let's face it, if you get a NH35, 36, 34, you get a Miyota, you get a ETA, you get a Valjoux, you get a Sellita, they all tell time. You get a Rolex, you get an Omega, they all tell time, and having a movement that's in-house or out-of-house, to me, is absolute nonsense. It just doesn't matter. At the end of the day, all these watches tell time reasonably well, and you kind of have to I think, start to gravitate more into watch nerd territory for that to really, that'll never really mean much to me. When I look at different movements, it's really just having one that I know, oh, that's a more expensive movement, kind of cool, I got a Sellita. That's kind of the end of it, because at the end of the day, the way the watch tells time, I notice no difference whatsoever. Now, maybe if you set your watch, always wore it, maybe you have one watch, you wear it every single day, you put in a watch winder, you keep it wound, and maybe it'd be more important for the watch to be, not maybe lose or gain any kind of seconds, but to me, I wear a watch for a couple days, it goes into the safe, and then I have to reset it anyway at some point when I put it back on. So kind of meaningless, but again, always buy watches with the features that mean something to you is what's most important. But nevertheless, no matter what you buy, you're getting a quality automatic movement. This one here is done, they call this dial color red. I think it's more of like an orange. I feel like the bezel on this is kind of like a faded blue and red, or what they refer to as Coke, but I don't even like to kind of use those ways of describing colors, but I would say but I will. We kind of have like a Coke bezel and then an orange face. So when you look at the pictures on their website, I think that's a pretty accurate representation of what you're going to get in the watch. Sometimes the way they photograph watches, I've had watches where they look one way on the website and you get them and you're like, okay, that definitely looks different. This is pretty much what you see is what you get. You have a glass bezel insert, you have that NH34 GMT movement, you have what they call the beads of rice bracelet, something that Doxa has been using for over 60 years. I love these bracelets, they look super classy, they're very, I almost feel like it's a hybrid bracelet where you have a super classy, dressy look, but also a very functional dive watch look, and that's, again, Doxa kind of, I don't know if they designed that bracelet, but whenever I see this, I automatically think of Doxa. I really like those brands. As far as the other specifications on this, we have what I like to call the checkboxes. And a lot of those checkboxes are, one, do you like the watch? All right, if you do, great, move on to number 2. But the rest of them, I kind of feel like that's the pyramid of checkboxes. That's most important. You should always buy a watch based on whether you like it or not. When you see it, do you get excited? Do you want to wear it? Do you picture yourself buying this and then opening it up and slapping it on your wrist? I mean, that's the most important, I think, checkbox. And I experienced that with a $10 DHgate special or a $500 watch like this. So number 1, do you like it? Number 2 is, what is it made out of? This is 316, I believe, stainless steel. They don't specifically mention 316, but that's kind of like the industry standard. 43 millimeter case diameter. I like that they did 43 and not 42. Just gives a little extra size to the watch if you're a guy who's, you know, used to having your typical 38 to 42 millimeter watches, a lot of your Submariners, your Omegas, whether they be the authentic fakes or you're getting homage watches, which I hate the word homage. To me, it's just it's a copy. A homage means to pay tribute to something. When a brand makes a homage watch, they're not paying tribute to Rolex. They're making a watch that they're copying a style that they know is popular. Rolex is a super popular watch, and so they're just kind of capitalizing off on that. Again, I'm not going to debate on whether I think you should wear that or not. I like them. It doesn't matter to me. But always, again, buy what you know, stay on your high horse if you're on one, is what I'm trying to say. But again, with this, I like that it's just totally different. It's not really trying to be anybody else. It's its own thing, you know. And I think what really sets this watch apart is the color selection. This is a very fun watch. We have that Coca-Cola style bezel, or sorry, Pepsi style bezel. I always get the two of those mixed up. Coca-Cola is going to be black and red. Obviously, this is blue and red. And then you have that bright, kind of gradient orange face. Even though they call the dial red, I would really call that a sunshine orange. It's really interesting to me, too. They didn't give this watch... they call it burnt orange. No fancy names. I just like that they kept it simple. You know, it's called the Fluess. It's a GMT automatic. Here's the burnt orange color. It makes sense. But I don't really think this is burnt. I guess they're kind of referring to like maybe the gradient as it goes out towards the bezel. But I call this just like, this is like sunshine orange. It's very bright. It's very summery. It's very fun. 13 millimeters in case thickness, 51 millimeters lug to lug. Applied indexes with Swiss New Light. We do have a sapphire lens. That is a checkbox for many folks. For me, it is not. It does come with a red rubber strap as well, so you can change this up. And what I like about I guess the pins to hold the bracelet on, that you don't need to have any kind of tools. You can just basically get your fingernails on that, squeeze them, and pop them right off. So it's meant to be done toolless. 190 grams in the weight, 15 ATMs of water resistance, and we do have a milled clasp. Which just, you know, again, it doesn't mean that it's any better than a stamped clasp, but it just has a much more refined look, I think. It just looks a little cleaner, a little more expensive. But they all function. And a safety dual push button deployant and safety latch. And we have 2 levels of micro adjustment. Oh, sorry, 3 levels of micro adjustment. Let me get this to focus in here. Sometimes when I'm trying to get it to focus on a thin section there, it won't focus. We do have push pins instead of screws. It's just pretty typical. Some guys, you know, they'll tell you why push pins are not as good as screws. I honestly prefer push pins. I feel like screws, you know, every watch I have, I almost feel like I want to put Loctite on anything with screws. And I usually, you know, you don't want to go too hard on them. You don't want to strip them or damage them. But it's kind of like a fine line there, because you want to get them tight, but then it's very easy to damage those screws. So I feel like the push pins are better. Once they're seated, I mean, I have had push pins kind of wiggle out a little bit, but generally you can feel it, you can see it, and I honestly prefer push pins, or friction pins, but most folks, I think, probably prefer the screws. And I think a lot of times people, if you ask people, well, why do you, like, nobody ever, I feel like when people just automatically think that screws are better, they're probably more expensive to make, but just because something's more expensive doesn't mean it's better. I just feel like this is more, I get more peace of mind with this, I guess. What else? As far as the bezel action on this, very easy to turn for a watch that doesn't really have much of a grip. It does have like a coin-edged bezel, but it's very smooth, and that glass bezel is not recessed. It's actually extends past the, I guess what we'll call like the texture on the bezel. And the crystal does stick out a little tiny bit. And for a watch that, a lot of watches that I've owned and reviewed that have a bezel like this, they sometimes can be a little challenging to turn. Not a big deal for me, because I don't really use my watches like that. They're really just things I wear and enjoy. They're more of accessories for me. But if you are not like that, you can turn this with ease. And it is a bi-directional bezel as well. Screw down crown. Just an awesome looking watch. Now, they do make many different colors on this, and I actually happen to have what I'll call like is it Grimace? I'm not really up on my cartoon characters, but you know, the grape soda maybe, I don't know. Some folks call this the Joker. I don't think so. The Joker would have to have like that neon green on it, but a very cool looking piece as well. You be the judge. Let me know in the comment section which one you prefer. Now, if either of these are not your cup of tea, you can definitely get one of the other 10 colors. They have a really great looking baby blue and white, and I have reviewed that watch. I think I have on this channel already. Check my my playlist. We have sort of like a what's called sandstorm brown. It's like kind of like a beige and black, but I guess it probably is brown. But I don't know. That looks black. I think what they mean by that is the bezel kind of goes from like this one's really nice. I should have requested this one. It goes from like a beige out to like a brownish kind of hue or color. And it does come with a tan strap as well. So, and you have your traditional colors as well. What is this one here? The gray, is this gray? What do we got? Like a gray and blue. We have a black and blue, or what they'd call like the Batman, an orange, which is an orange and maroon, and a blue face. So, point in mentioning that is that they have some color options here that are just kind of a little bit unique and different. A lot of times when we see, you know, companies making watches, they'll always have, like, let's say they make a Coca-Cola, right? It'll have the black and red bezel, then the face is just black, right? So I like that they're really kind of doing things a little bit outside the box here. It's a great looking piece, and you're getting that Spinnaker quality. And let's face it, I say that loosely because most of the watches you're going to buy out there are fantastic. They give you a lot of bang for your buck, and I just will never understand why anybody wants to spend thousands of dollars on a watch. Now, speaking of the price on this here, it is $490 right now, but they do have a 20% off coupon code. I suggest you definitely take advantage of that, but also try using my coupon code. Sometimes you can use both, but I would prefer you try to use my coupon code. And the reason for that is because if you did discover this video and you find value in what I'm doing here, and you do make a purchase, it's nice for the company to know that you actually used my coupon code. But nevertheless, if you don't, it still gets tracked for commission purposes. So if you do use my link, I do really appreciate that. It's a way of giving back to myself for taking the time to review these awesome watches. And I don't mean that to sound like, let me be real here, I don't mean that to sound like I'm doing you a favor. I love doing this. I get commission on these watches. I get these watches for free. It's a win-win-win for me. And I do enjoy, it is a business, but I do enjoy hearing from you guys when you pick up a watch. It's really, I don't know, I find it rewarding that somebody took what I have to say about watches and then went out and bought it. Pretty cool, and I like to hear your stories about it. So, without further ado, let's throw it on the wrist. Let me take off this other Spinnaker here. I'm not going to name drop on it, but when you go to the link, you'll see which one this is. Very, very cool looking watch. Love the color on this one as well. Get that to focus in there. Reflection always, there we go. Very cool. You don't see these colors you just don't see. The only thing negative I would say is that they didn't do a pink and white or a pink and black. I don't know. I've mentioned many times you guys got to start doing pink watches, but they just haven't. I guess maybe they feel like it's not a popular color, but I don't know. I think, oh man, look at that. It just looks even better on the wrist. It just is a fun color pop. That awesome beads of rice bracelet just really breaks up the light. It reflects it so well. They are mirror polished down the center. We have a brush finish down the side links and the rest of the watch. Of course, a little bit of mirror polishing around the bezel, but just an awesome looking piece. Now I got a 7-inch wrist. I weigh 182 pounds. Again, this is a 43 millimeter. Not a small watch by any means, but you know, size is subjective. I wear many different size watches, so if you've been watching me for a while, you guys know that my tastes are really broad when it comes to watches. I really don't discriminate. I'll really give any watch a fair shake. And what I've learned over the years of owning over 400 watches, reviewing 400 watches, it's just amazing the quality, the bang for buck that you're getting with so many wonderful companies. And ultimately, at the end of the day, when shopping for a watch, it's really starting to become less about quality and just more about the watch that really speaks to you, the watch that you see and you get excited about. Because at the end of the day, really, most watches you buy are going to be fantastic quality and you're going to be happy with them. So let me know if I can help in any way. Thanks for watching. As always, do subscribe to the channel. Have a fantastic day, folks, and take care.